Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jessica Abernathy, and with me today is Trisha Montgomery, and you are listening to Pets Are Family. Hi, Trisha.
Hello, love. How you
I
doing?
can't complain. I'm getting rid of that.
The printer in your background?
Yeah, drives me crazy.
You know
Uh-huh.
what? Can I just tell you that I never noticed the printer in the background? It's like whenever you have like a zit on your face and you're the only one who notices it and you point it out and you're like, oh my God, do you see this on my face? And no one noticed it until you pointed it out and go, like a post-it note, like a big arrow.
That printer does. It's all I see when I'm talking with you guys. I see sunflowers right here. I see there's something right here, which is, oh, my other flower basket up here. I can see flowers over here. And then I see printer.
You need to do something about that. If that is making you crazy, again, I don't think I nor anybody who has watched this podcast has ever noticed your printer. But now I'm not even going to look at you. My eyes are going to be like transfixed on
Printer.
that crazy gray printer back there that looks a little bit antiquated. So.
Printer. I could just see Justin's gonna have a field day with that one. But yeah, that's all it drives me nuts. Yep.
Jessica, so we are like rolling into 2024 like no tomorrow, and man, it has been, I
Yeah.
feel like it is just kicking things off, and a lot going on already, and I don't understand why. If it is like the new year, starting the new year, why is it so busy?
Well, it's been busy. I mean, we talked last week about all the fun things that we've got coming up, we're going to be doing and stuff like that. We're talking about a pressing subject in January, and then after that, we're going to be talking about fun, and moving forward. You know what I mean? We got to talk about the not fun stuff, and then we got to move on. But we got to talk about the real stuff.
We do, but also one thing that you have taught me, and that we're talking about grief, guys. We're talking about
Yeah.
grief and sadness and what happens during the holidays, and our sadness kind of compounds. Not kind of, it does compound because we'll talk more about that, but the holidays and everything else. But it doesn't have to be so sad. And just like the person that we are going to be bringing on, your friend Lisa McGrath from Thorn's Promise, that there is goodness and greatness that comes out of it, just like Moose's March for me. And out of that grief
Yep.
and sadness, something even beautiful and greater. So I'm looking forward to talking to her.
Yeah, Lisa's a great person. I a lot of you guys know I do coaching, and she was one of my students for over 2 years. And so Thorn passed away while I was coaching her. And so I went through the whole thing with her. And so when we were talking about the grief, she was like the first person that popped in my head, because we always want to talk about pet parents. And when we were talking about this, and I was like, she is one of the perfect pet parents I wanted to talk to, just for the one fact that it hit her so hard. Not that it doesn't hit any of us other, but it hit her hard, and she got a gift to gab anyway. But you know what I mean? And she's, willing to come talk to us. And she's she turned around a hard situation like you, and she honors him on a daily basis, is what she
I
does.
love that. I love that. I cannot wait to meet her.
Well, let me go get her then. So here we go. Hi, Lisa, how are you doing?
I'm well. I'm well.
I
How about you?
Are you? I'm fantastic. So I haven't talked to you in forever, but you know what I mean? It's a good thing, always a good thing. We brought you on because we wanted to talk to you a little bit about being a pet parent. And in January, we're talking about pet loss and the holidays, and how the holidays, as it is in January, it's always depressing. January is like the most depressing month. For most of us in the northern part of the world, it is bloody cold, right? So it's cold already here. It's actually today, I'm going to be honest with you, it's freezing. We're getting a major snowstorm. It's cold here in Chicago. It's like freezing. And Trisha's down there in Florida and it's nice and warm. So, but she's getting a storm. I get that, but it's warmer than it is here. But January is always that after effect of the holidays. We're always depressed because we all overspent for the holidays. All our family's gone. You know what I mean? We're all alone again. We might be stuck with our spouses that we don't really, really like. You know what I mean? We know you like Mike, but we might be stuck with our spouses that we don't like, our family that we don't really care for. But it also brings up the fact that, if we have lost our pets, and it brings up the quietness because they're not around anymore. You know what I mean? And that it hurts, you know what I mean? And some people it hurts more than others, and it hurts more for those that are alone or are struggling to deal with things that they don't know how to deal with it and stuff like that. But you as a pet parent, I know because I was around when it all happened and I know a lot about about it. So I brought you on as a pet parent that has lost, for a best way to put it, is your heart dog. So yeah, he was your heart dog. And I might actually cry, which that'll blow Trisha's brain because, you know what I mean? Because I am the non-crier of the group. So it will blow Trisha's
the
brain.
eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah, it would be the eighth wonder. But so I want to hear a little bit about how you guys met. So tell us a little bit about your heart dog. I'm not told anybody's name yet. So I want to hear how you met your heart dog. So let's hear the story of how you guys first met.
So I was completing a walk at one of my clients' homes. And after a walk, we send updates via an app. And I was sitting in my car and I was sending an update. And this dog comes walking onto my client's yard. And I look and I'm like looking around, seeing if anybody was with it. It was off leash and stuff like that. So nobody was around. I get out and he's super skinny, like super skinny. He was, his back end wasn't working well. Super friendly though. He came right up to me. And again, I'm still looking around to see if anybody's with him. And nobody was there. And it was cold. It was November 27th and it was cold and it was going to be below freezing that night. And I'm like, I can't leave this dog out here, And I got him, like he came over and I gave him a treat and I opened my door. I'm like, you going to come in? And he like had trouble getting up even onto the back, like the floor of my car. So I was like, all right. And I helped him up and I'm like, please don't bite me. Please don't bite me. Cause I didn't know the dog, he's a pitty. I didn't know him. And I got him up into the car. And by the time I got into the front seat, he had climbed into the front seat and curled up like he belonged. So I was like, oh, all right. And I still had another walk to do. So I went and I did my other walk and he stayed curled up in a nice warm car. And then I took him to a vet, not chipped. He wasn't fixed. He did have a collar on, which, I was like, somebody had him at some point, but nobody ever claimed him. We posted it on the business page, posted it. And I mean, if you know anybody that's ever found a pet within 24 hours, somebody knows somebody that knows the dog. Right. Nobody knew this dog. So that's how we met. Like it was just by chance. It was on the street, right off 495 in Wilmington, and the rest is history.
How'd you name him? I mean, how did you come across his name? I mean,
so the first name we thought of, it was right after the Flyers announced their new mascot, Gritty, and it was like, oh, it was a big deal because Mike's a Flyers fan, and it just didn't sit well. And then my other dog is named for Game of Thrones. So I was like, let's do something like, just like, cause he was like big barrel chest, even though he's skinny, he was, he had a big chest. I'm like, I need a strong name. And I just always like Thorin Oakenshield from The Hobbit. And I'm not even like a big Hobbit fan, but as soon as I said it, Mike's eyes lit up, my eyes lit up. I'm like, it's Thorin. So, and then Marcus, his middle name is Marcus. I grew up in Marcus Hook, and it was Thorin Marcus.
Aw, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. So Thorin Marcus McGrath.
So, out of curiosity, so he became family obviously right away. So, what part of this? I mean, like, how did he make himself part of your family? Because he obviously just like, hi, Lisa,
Yep.
and
I'm
by the way,
yours.
yeah, I'm
It was
yours. So he made himself family, but how did he make himself family?
So he came in the night I brought him in. I told my family, I'm like, I found this abandoned dog. I'll be bringing him home. And we had dogs here that were staying. So I was like, separate everybody for us. And he came in and he peed all over my house. And I'm like,
Well,
this is not, because he wasn't, wasn't neutered. He was scared, right? I'm like, all right, this isn't going well. And then, we went and I got him the belly bands. And but like, I went and I got him the cap star. I got him the belly bands. Like within hours of meeting him, like, and then about 2 days later, I'm like, I really hope his owner doesn't come forward. Like, I really hope. And I gave it a week and then officially announced that he was a family member. But he got along with all the dogs that were here. He did not like my cat, but he was just part of us. Like, he just, he ate when he ate well. He went outside once he calmed down, from being nervous and all that, and figured out the doggy door. Like he just. Mike always said he had an unhealthy obsession with me. He's like, the way that dog looks at you is unhealthy, and that was
Yeah,
literally
but
from day one.
he knew you were his.
Yep,
You were his heart person almost.
absolutely, like absolutely. It was the. I don't want to say the strangest thing. It was absolutely the coolest thing, but it was instantaneous. It was crazy. Like this dog I just picked up off the street. Like I don't know what I would have done if somebody's like, "Hey, that's my dog." You know what I
I
mean?
It,
know, and you know innately, right?
yeah, and yeah, 48 hours. I mean, it's rare that I mean, and it's rare. It's rare because people talk about their heart animal or the one that they bond with, and until you have that bond with the animal or your heart animal, that's what we call it, is your heart animal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand that connection, until you have
And
that.
I
Yeah,
didn't
and when you
understand it at all.
right, you've had
But
animals.
yep,
You've had
multiple
dogs,
animals
you've
throughout my
had
life.
yeah.
And I've loved every one of them, and they've all been family. But there was just something about him. It was crazy. I would leave and go to do walks, and he would just walk up the steps, come up on my bed, and wait till I got home. And he would wait for hours. And Mike would call him down. He wouldn't come down. My mom would come over. As soon as I got home, he was down off the bed and down the
Um,
Hi, Mom.
steps. Yep, yep,
Hi.
I'm here. I waited
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
here. Let's go. What are we
his
doing today?
Yep. And he had medical issues. He went paralyzed 3 months after we met. So
Oh,
we
wow.
did 3 days of acupuncture for. He started walking again in 3 months, but like we had the sling. I mean, we had a wheelchair. Like it was the whole deal.
He knew he had to find the right person to deal with him. He knew he was sick and he needed to find his human because he knew he needed somebody to take care of him and he picked you to be that
Everybody says
person.
that. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and that's special because not every animal will pick you, you know what I mean? And
Yep. And
that's
not
I
every
mean,
person would have dealt with that. Like,
no.
anybody else could have. And that may have been like maybe that's why he was dumped. Like we think he was dumped where he was. It's a well-known dumping ground for
Hmm.
dogs. And the fact that nobody knew him. It was right off of a major highway, on and off, real fast. Like so, and we're just assuming he was. But maybe that's why, because his back was bad. He was older. We had no idea how old he was. So the vet said between 6 and 8 based off of his teeth and everything. So I had him close to 3 years. So he was anywhere
Okay.
between 9 and 12,
yeah.
13. Like we have no idea. He did start to get a lot grayer though. But on his good days, I always like he's closer to the 6, the younger side. And then when he was having his bad days with his back and all, I'm like, yeah, maybe he is closer to the older side. But we had no idea.
I don't
No.
think it really matters the amount of time that you've got. It really doesn't. I think it's that quality, and then when you know.
Yep. Yep. And early
Yeah.
on, like, I mean, we kind of joked around that I was going to be a nutcase when, he did pass. And I warned the family multiple times. I'm like, guys, this is not going to be well. And then, like I said, I was joking because he was healthy and he was right next to me. Well, it didn't go well.
Who do you know what I mean? And this is something we're talking about is the loss, you know what I mean? But who do you think took it the worst out of all of you? Which I kind of know who did, but you know what I mean? Because I was around when, he passed
Yeah.
away,
I mean,
but yeah,
he was my
you know,
dog. Like, Mike loved him. My kids liked him. It was, everybody liked him, but no, it was no competition there.
yeah,
It
he was
was
definitely
all me.
yeah. I mean, what did you do? I mean, share, because this is something that people don't understand. And it's, you know what I mean? And Trisha and I have talked about it with other people, you know what I mean? When I was younger, I remember, I told this before, I remember I told Trisha this, I worked for the airlines and I had a guy call in and say that, his cat was sick and he couldn't come to work. And I was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's an
What do you
incident.
mean?
Yeah, I'm
Going
like,
to work now?
yeah, I'm
Yep.
like, your cat's what? I'm like, is your cat named Bin Laden? I'm like, what do you mean your cat's sick? You know what I mean? I don't get it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But now I
My,
get,
how we
yeah, I'm like, I get it now. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I didn't understand it. And I grew up with animals. You know what I mean? I've
Right.
always had 2 dogs, 2 cats, multiple guinea pigs. We had a flock of turkeys, a flock of chickens, geese. I mean, I've had them all, but I was like calling in sick for a cat. I just didn't understand that one. But anyway, you know what I mean? And I love cats. Don't get me wrong. I do get cats. But you know what I mean? What were some of the things that you did to help cope with the loss? You know what I mean? Because he was your heart dog.
Yeah. And he wasn't sick, right? So he had an obstruction. It ended up being some kind of obstruction. And he wasn't a dog that ate things he wasn't supposed to, except dog poop out back. Like, I would follow him around and he would show me every pile. And he was slow, so I was able to get to him most times. But there was a monkey ball, must have been underneath one of the piles, and he swallowed it. So, the monkey balls, the prickly balls that come off the gum trees, I think.
Yeah.
So, he started not feeling well on a Saturday. By Monday, like, I took him in and had, hindsight's 2020. I probably should have taken him in Sunday. But so he had the surgery on Monday, made it through the surgery, and then ended up with aspiration pneumonia 2 days later. So that's what ultimately, took him. So it wasn't expected, but I had a couple days there, that the hopes was here, and then, I kind of knew. So coping with it, I mean, initially when I'm sitting there, it was when he was still alive and there was still hope. I was like, God, how do people pay for this, right? Like, how do people pay for this stuff? Luckily, we were in a position that I could. And, aside from putting him in an oxygen tank, we did everything we possibly could to make, to give him the chance, once he got bad. And then, like, immediately, it just went to how can I help other people with the financial piece of it. So the coping for me was starting the nonprofit. I mean, that just because it kept his face in my brain, like right in front of me every single day, every day. I'm a person that I don't hide from it. Like, I have pictures everywhere. I wear him on my chain. I have a tattoo. Like, I need to see his face. Some people, like, lose pets and like, oh, I can't even talk about him for 6 months. That's not me. Like, please talk to me about my dog. So, doing the nonprofit work, organizing that, his pictures and everything, and the story on the website is like, bawling my eyes out, but it was just so healing for me.
Yeah.
It just kept my
Tell us a little bit about the non-for-profit that you started for, Thorn.
Yep. So it's called Thorin's Promise, and we basically help pet parents when they're at an emergency vet and they need help with the bill. Thorin needed the ultrasound. Well, if I didn't have $800, it would have been either wait and see and let them suffer, or put them down. And I don't want people to have to make that life and death decision based on finances for a test or a surgery that we know is going to fix them.
Right.
Obviously for the tens of thousands of dollar surgery, we can't help with all of it, but we help as much as we can. We fundraise, so people can put it out to their personal networks instead of a GoFundMe, because GoFundMe takes a big percentage of the money.
Yeah.
Everything we raise or get for a specific pet goes towards that pet, and then we recoup and put it back into our our coffer for the next one.
How do you qualify, not, I guess, how do you qualify people when they contact you, Linda? How do you do that? Say you get 10 people that say, we need your help. Sorry, and Lisa. Lisa.
That's okay.
How do you qualify those people? How do you manage those?
So, I mean, luckily there haven't been hundreds of them.
Well, who knows after this podcast?
What's that?
Yeah. Who knows after this podcast?
Yeah. So I do have a questionnaire on our website that tells you what we do and won't specifically cover. Like, we're not going to cover a dog's blown out knee. We're not going to cover, we can't cover cancer treatments, but we can, if there's a mass, we'll cover the diagnostics to get to the point that they know it's cancer. It's just, honestly, like, we haven't had so many requests that I've really had to turn anybody down right now.
Yeah.
And they've come in, really good waves, I guess you can say.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. I mean, that's how I got through with Moose, and being able to, cope and create something in his honor, just like you did in Thorn's honor.
Yep.
You're beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. That's awesome. So it's been around for a year and a half now, roughly. Has it been a year and a half?
What? Thorn's Promise? A little
Yeah.
over 2 years. Yeah, it was
Wow.
October
Okay.
2021 I officially launched it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
he
Well,
passed away September 2nd, and by the end of October I had got my IRS determination and all that. So I didn't mess
awesome.
around.
No, yeah, I do remember that. Like I said, I was around when he passed away. I do remember that, and I remember how crushing it was. And I do remember you starting to do the process, and I know you were like just like that,
Mm-hmm. Well, it
and
helped that I had started the dog walking before that. So I had, how to do the whole corporation thing and all that. So I had all that,
right.
It wasn't that
Right.
far, in the past. So it was easy to get that part together. And then,
Right.
just everybody that knew me knew about Thorin. Like, and they know about Stark, and they know, and like, I've had Stark since he was 8 weeks old, and he's 9 now. So it's like, I love him just as much as I've loved Thorin. But, there's just that connection with Thorin. It's so hard to explain. It really is.
It's not hard to explain it, because I understand what you're saying. I do. There's a certain connection, and there's a void, I believe, within your heart. And try as you might to fill that void, there's something that sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
I always say a piece of my heart has been broken and gone from Moose.
Absolutely.
So I would imagine you feel the same way about Thorn.
Yep. And I still feel him with me too. Like, there's no doubt that he's, here in some respects, because, there's still a time I'll glance and, just out of the corner of my eye, or, when I walk outside, I'll just like, in my mind's eye, because we did the same path every day. Like, I would walk out with him, and, and he peed on the same branch every day. You know what I mean? Like, there was such a routine with him. So it's still there.
What is one of your favorite memories that you can share with us about Thorin?
Oh, geez. I think so. When I would come home, just about every day, I would be like, Thorin, And he would be upstairs, and he would the noises he would make, like he would just like I can't even describe them. Like, and then like I would hear just because he needed steps to come off my bed, so I'd hear him get down the steps, and then he would run around the bed, and then he'd run down the hallway, like just that, like every day, it was the same thing, and I think that's what I missed the most, like in the beginning, was just there was no when I'd walk in the door, there was every day it was Thorin, because I knew he wasn't downstairs with Mike, he was upstairs waiting for me.
Right? Isn't that the best?
That's probably,
I love it.
Yeah,
it's like little Teddy. Yeah, I love it when little Teddy comes up to me and he's like, "Mommy's home." You know what I mean? He gets all excited. And Teddy's gone blind. You know what I mean? So before he'd like race around, now he just like jumps up and down in the one spot because he doesn't know where anything is. So he just jumps up and down. He just jumps right there. And I'm just like, "I'm right here, kid." She's like, yeah, I love that. Yeah, no. He's like, "Mom, I'm right here, Mom. Come get me, Mom. I know you're here.
I can't see you, but you can see me."
Yeah, I'm jumping right here, Mom. Come here. Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
And I was the only one he would give kisses to. Mike tried for 2.5 years to get a kiss from him, and every once in a while he would bless Mike with a kiss. But I mean, the minute I'm like, "Thorin, can I have a kiss?" and like he would just cover my face, like. And it's just like those little things, whenever I was around, he was next to me. He was with me. Like, and if I wasn't here, he was upstairs.
If you had to share with a pet parent that just lost their heart animal or one of their favorite animals, in the last couple months, and they're grieving and the holidays are over, and their pocketbooks are broke because they just did the holidays, obviously, what would be something that you would share with them to help them get through the next couple months? Because I mean, we have Valentine's Day. I mean, granted, it's a Hallmark holiday, but I mean, it's that heart holiday that it's the holiday of love, you know what I mean? And everybody's like, "Ooh," you know what I mean? Once again, I'm the weirdo.
Smash me into the wall for Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
it's for Cupid round, actually.
Yeah, I'm the one girl you never have to worry about for Valentine's Day. So, but yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
But my biggest, I think, piece of advice is just, look at their pictures, talk about them. Like, don't hide it. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, so my family knew what he meant to me, but like all my friends, like I would just talk about him, like not like he was still here, but he was a huge part of my life for those 1,010 days that I had him. It's just like just remember them. But that's me. Some people can't do that, but like I was so glad I have thousands of pictures of him in every state of sleep, and videos, because they would sing to me. Stark and Thorin would sing. They would howl, but it wasn't a howl with Thorin. And like every year, so I have one on my birthday, and I'm like, the boys are singing my happy birthday to me. So every year now it comes up because I posted it on Facebook, and it's just like, I love it. Like I don't want to forget that.
Yeah, I find it interesting, Lisa, that I've had people say to me, just because of Moose I adopted him during the pandemic whenever I was with Paws, and that was March of 2020, and he was gone by May of 2022. And people said, "Well, you didn't have him that long." I'm like, yeah, yeah. So you didn't have Thorn. I mean, you had Thorn for what, 2.5 years, or less?
It was like 1,010 days. No, just kidding. It was so I got him. It was like November 27th that I got him of 2018, and then September 2nd of 2021. So a little less than 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. Has anybody ever said that to you, Lisa? Mm-hmm. That okay.
No, not to me personally.
Okay.
I think they know better.
They're not heartless. Yeah, I was gonna say they're not heartless like me. You know what I mean? And they know better. Lisa's a lot like me. You know what I mean? No offense. Lisa's also from the East Coast. She'll cut you.
Well, we're going there again.
Yeah, she'll cut you because of her dog. Trust me. She's one of those people that you just, yeah, let her be.
Not a violent podcast, I promise. This is not
Yeah,
violent.
it's not a violence, it's a
Been lots
family podcast. We all protect our animals very well here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Our
Yep. Just
animals
don't
are
mess
part
with
of our
animals.
family. Yeah, they're
Yep.
all our children. They're just for like a children, you know?
I
Yeah.
say between the terrorism of bin Laden and the terrorist threats of bin Laden and the cutting and she can cut you. I'm like, okay, we're going to get arrested someday. They're just going to show up to our doorsteps and they're just going to haul us away.
Oh, no, not even
Secretly.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So my last question for you is, besides that, and I know that you turned your heartache, and I know it's still a heartache, but you turned it into a positive, you know what I mean? You're giving back, and Thorne's memory is going to live on forever through this, you know what I mean? And I really like how you are turning it into a positive. If I were to think about, like, if I lost Teddy tomorrow, you know what I mean? What made you turn it into a non for profit? I mean, what made you decide to do that versus, doing something else? Like, do you get what I'm asking you? Like, what made you decide to turn it into that? Why didn't you, name your company? I know you own a pet sitting company. Why didn't you start another company and name it after him instead? Or what made you not go down and, adopt another dog and name him Thorn too? Or, something
Thorin
like that.
Jr.
We could, yeah, Thorn Jr. Or, we could get Stark double, Stark Jr., By the way, I love
The
Stark.
question.
Yeah, yeah. Trisha doesn't know, but I do love Stark. Baby Stark. Baby Stark's one of my favorite,
Yep.
and Baby
Yep.
Stark, I love him.
So I think the biggest, the idea was born, like I said, when I was sitting in the waiting room, in between the surgery and then when he started to decline. I was just like, how do people afford this?
Yeah.
And I've been active in fundraising for many different organizations for years. So it was just, I can't always give financially, but with doing it this way, I can still help financially, by just making it at the nonprofit. It's just who I am. I always try to give, but I can't do it. Like I said, financially, I'm not in a position where I could pay for somebody's, $8,000 surgery.
Right.
And then when I started researching, like there weren't a lot of options for people. Like, there are a couple nationwide. In fact, Blue Pearl, where we went, they have their own, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a not-for-profit, but it's like an option for people who can't afford care.
Right.
But I didn't know about that until afterwards. And it's mostly low-income people. So, I probably wouldn't have qualified for that anyway, had I known. But, in researching it, there are some organizations that offer it. Some are very, specific. And because I think you just told me about Live Like Rue, who I've recommended for multiple people. And that was another one, because we were talking about Thorne's Promise, and you were just saying you had a friend that did the same thing. So, that's just who I am. And it's not to say that, because of the business and doing the boarding and stuff like that, we really weren't in a position to adopt another dog. I did not want to replace him, which it wouldn't have been, but, because we still had two dogs. I still had a cat. That cat has since passed, and now we have two more cats and two more dogs and a foster dog. So
You haven't replaced him. You brought more into the family. You've made the family a little larger.
yeah. So I'll never ever be without a dog. Of that I know for certain. But or a cat.
Yeah.
Like I have one sleeping here and one sleeping over there, and he's a year and a half and she's 8 months. So just having to be surrounded by animals, it's the best. My kids are grown,
Well,
so
Yeah, I was gonna say, and what little they don't know is that, I mean, I know this because, you and I've worked together for years, that, you own a pet sitting company, you know what I mean? So you're around pets, you work with pets,
Right.
your house is surrounded with pets, what I mean? It's a passion, besides a
Yeah.
passion, it's, your livelihood, it's, it's your thing. So
Yeah.
I know
And that
Trisha's
definitely
like dying
helps.
to ask you a question. I can see it.
Well, sorry. How many people have you got? How many people have you all been able to help through Lauren's Promise?
Um, it's been about, I would say, 35. Yeah. This
Wow!
year, this
Wow! Wow!
this year's been a little light, and the ones we
Mhm.
have helped, I think all of them ended up passing away due to the issues.
Mm.
Uh, so this
But
this
the
year's more of
quality of
a
time that they had, right? I mean, because can you equate having more time?
what's
I
that?
mean, I don't think you can. I don't think that you can equate having more time, right? That if been given a week or a month, or that you've given hope and quality of life to those pet parents because you've helped, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that they needed a vet confirmation to say, all right, we've done everything we could do, but they couldn't afford that. So you know what I mean? So I'm like, let me help you at least even get to that point of so
Peace
you
of
know
mind.
within your heart that you
Yeah.
gave everything you did. And that's been for this year, the couple that we've helped, that was kind of more, unfortunately, the way it went. But
Okay,
And
we've
sometimes that peace of
also,
mind is what you
right,
need,
it is.
they just need that confirmation of, I
Yeah.
know it's bad, but how bad is it? Is there any
How
hope
bad is
type of
it?
thing?
Well, and
Yeah.
it's also it's one of the things that a lot of pet parents have a struggle to do is the guilt of, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? Is it the right time? Is it not the right time? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Am I doing this because I want it, or am I doing it because they need it, or am I doing it because I'm being selfish, or am I doing it because, you know what I mean? There's too many because, or what if, and you're giving them at least some answers so that way they can make a better decision instead of,
Right.
you know, after they've been euthanized or had to be put asleep, they're not questioning themselves. And then that depression that we're talking about is heightened because they can't answer the questions that you're helping them answer a little bit, so that bit of it is brought down a notch, you know what I mean? So you're helping them
Yeah.
that with that part of it, which
Yeah.
is wonderful because a lot of people can't get that help.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're left watching their pet decline, and I still felt guilty after Thorin. And I knew, like, the vet was right there. She's like, Lisa, if you don't make this call right now, his body's going to start shutting down. And I'm like, can I just get another hour? Like, just maybe he'll turn the corner in an hour. I was sitting right in front of him, like, I just, so I was right there, and they're like, that's not an option anymore. You know what I mean? Other than, like I said, putting him in the oxygen tank, and then it would have been, he had a like 48% chance that he would have even made it through that, and it was like another $25,000. So, but even knowing right there, but I also didn't want his body to start shutting down and then start suffering that way too.
And
So
that
it was,
Yeah.
quality of life.
yes, yes. Like, he didn't even wag his tail when I went in, and I'm like, oh, like, he always wag, even when he was paralyzed. Like, not only the tiny tip of his tail worked, like, it was moving when he saw me. So I
Yeah.
knew he was bad. But again, you always want that more time. But that's probably the top. Like, I didn't. The decision was made basically for me. I have not yet, knock on wood, have had to really make that decision. Like, even both my cats, the one had cancer. We're pretty sure the other one had a brain tumor. We did everything we could. And I did have to make those decisions, but I knew. Like, my one cat looked at me, and I'm like, all right. It was like, please, mom. And I.
Yeah, I've had to make that decision many a times, multiple times I mean, I had to make it during the pandemic for one of the dogs that we had
Mm,
here that was staying with us, for a client that was stuck out of the country for almost a year
oh,
that was staying with us. and Roscoe, and I had to make the decision. I had to make the call myself, and I had to call the family and do a Zoom and tell them that I was making the call, and that, I made the call, and they were like, well, he kind of looks good. And I'm like, no. I mean, I made the call, and they were like, well, and I was like, no. I mean, and it's a hard call to make, you know what I mean? And you just have to go with your decision, but it's not a fun call to have to make, you know what I mean?
Never an easy one. Never an easy
It's
decision
never,
to make.
yeah.
And when
And
you,
I've made it in our industry, what you and I have done, because, I own a pet sitting company too. I've, I've had to do it at least 40 times for clients. So I have done
Oh
it
Lord.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it a lot, and it's not an easy call. And I think that's why it's not an easy call, but it's something I've done a lot, and helped people make that call, because a lot of
Yeah,
people
I've had a
can't.
couple. Right. Yeah, I've had a couple
They
people
just
I've had to
can't.
talk to about, they're like, well, they're still eating and drinking. I'm like, but, there's
That doesn't mean
nothing else
anything.
that they enjoy. Right. But that's the mindset.
it is. And I think also there are people that I know personally that have, their pet represents a past person, a past history,
A
and they
love,
cannot let go.
yeah,
Yeah, a death.
yeah.
They can't let that animal go. And even when that animal a call should have been made long ago, they're continuing to decline. That selfishly, the person keeps the animal along and around simply because they can't let them go. And
Right.
it's not fair to the animal or the pet.
Yeah, and I hate to say selfishly to the owner. It's just it's not. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I even hate using the word selfishly, and I can use it
Right.
really well.
Oh,
You know what I mean? And I can, that. But it's just that
yeah.
they're not
They're not
capable
thinking
of letting. Right, they're not thinking clearly because they're not able to let go of that
time.
that situation and that love. It's the love.
Yeah.
It's their
It's the
child.
love.
It's their
It's
family
their
member.
child. Yeah, it's their family member. It's also
I
the
do.
family. Yeah, it's the family member that might represent a family member too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part for them. So, Lisa, my question to you is: after all that depressing stuff, you know what I mean?
Hey,
And
I didn't
it's
cry though.
really, yes, you did not cry, but I told you you could. Um, if you, I mean, tell us a little bit about, how if we wanted to, get a hold of you, if we could or we wanted to, how could we get a hold of you to learn a little bit more about you? And share a few pictures because our buddy Justin, which we haven't talked about yet, but our buddy little Justin will gladly show. He's going to show pictures of Thorn and your new Motley crew. So make sure you share some of those. But how can we get a hold of you if we wanted to get a hold of you, and if we wanted to donate something to help out with your cause? How would we be able to do that?
So it's thorinspromise.org. And then there's his stories on there, who we help, how you can ask for help, some of the success stories, and then even some of the past. But that been bad about keeping that updated, so I do need to get that updated. We're on Facebook, Thorn's Promise. We're on Instagram. I've had people just message me through either of those platforms, and then I would just forward them to the website. If you're local to Delaware, we have a paddle auction coming up in March. I try to do 2 in-person events each year, and then throughout the year we'll do raffles. Or last year I did a Super Bowl pool, but I'm not doing that this year because we have the event in March coming up. So we do fundraising throughout the year, so the funds are available when somebody needs it. Like if they're sitting at the vet, versus, well, let's do a fundraiser real fast and it'll take days to get you money, so, but yeah, I'm a techie, so we are on, all the platforms, and well, not all of them, but those 3.
Yeah, I was going to say Teddy has one of your collars that you make. So,
Yes. Yep.
a collar, so I can say that Teddy has a Bears Saint collar, both.
Bears.
So he has one of those. So
Yep.
yes, purchase that. So awesome. And is there any parting words that you want to share with us?
No, just thank you. I was quite shocked and honored yesterday when you were like, "Hey, can we talk to you?" I'm like, "Absolutely," but I'm gonna cry. Um, no, just it does suck. The losing again. It's a family member.
Yeah.
Um, that's. I mean, that's all.
Thank you,
Anything you
Lisa.
want to part with? I was going to say, Trisha, is there any parting words you have, my dear?
I appreciate you, and I know what you've gone through. I think many of us know what you've gone through, but you've taken that grief and you've empowered that sadness and made something of beauty for everyone. And so I'm going to cry, but I thank you for you, and I thank you for what you've done, and look forward to supporting your efforts. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank
It's good
you.
talking to you, ladies.
You too. So, what did you think?
Wow.
I mean, I love Lisa. You know that. I told you that when I sent you the email. We were going to interview her.
I think she's phenomenal. I think that what she's done is just simply outstanding, and you can feel his spirit through her when she's talking about him. You can hear the pain, but you can also hear the joy of how she saw a need. Sitting in that veterinary clinic, she saw a need and thought, I can do this. Even before he had passed away, that she thought of something like that, and how she is helping others. And I think she's incredible. And I do want to say, I talked a little bit about that. I had multiple people come up to me and say, well, you only had Moose, not even, a little over 2 years. And how could you I'm like, I think that sometimes people are insensitive, and I'm glad, how do you, I just, it doesn't matter how long that our pets are with us, whether it's a month or a year or 10 years or whatever it is, that bond that they create, and when they touch you and then they are your heart dog, like you talked about, Jessica, that's the end, and that is your heart dog. So
Yeah.
I
And
love what she's doing
you have a
and
heart
supporting
animal.
her.
Everybody does. I mean, and it's interesting because our next week's guest, what she and I were talking, she brought up. I talked to her about something else, but she brought up a point to me which I thought was interesting, and I'm trying to get the word. And we kind of hit on it, but I didn't want to say the words because you and I have talked about it. We talked about it with Nina, really. But we talked about how people grieve and how people talk about us, how they judge our grieving. And not, like you said, they're judging us because, you only had, or, like I say, yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
crier, you know what I mean? But she's like, she called it, and I wrote it down. Does that tell you anything that I thought it was such a good, I wrote it down. I was like,
I got
she,
post-it note.
yep. I was like finding it. But she called it damage of judgment. And I was like, right? I was like, oh, we have got to talk about that next week. So we're going to talk about damage of judgment next week, about how people judge us on our loss with our animals.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to talk to her.
I knew you were gonna love it. That's why I didn't tell you about it. Sorry, but I didn't tell you because
I
I thought
am
you were gonna
so excited.
love me for that.
But I tell you what, Lisa,
Lisa's
I will
amazing.
say
So
to our audience, support.
yes,
Visit thornspromise.org. Listen to her story, and I, go online and read the story of Thorn, and she's helping, what is it, 35 people that she's been able to help, and the impact of what she's doing is just absolutely amazing, and just I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud that you brought her into our family, and that to be able to have
you gotta
that.
Yeah, I was going to say, my dad's going to yell at me for this too. I'm just going to tell you about. I got to tell you a Leroy thing before we end. But she's doing that by herself. She's running
Oh, wow.
Thorn's Promise by herself. Now we have Moose's March, and I'm just going to give you the praise. You run Moose's March. I basically take minutes at the board meeting. And when you ask me to do something, I do it for you. But we have a board that helps you. You run it. You know what I mean? I just do whatever you ask me to do for you. You know what I mean? But that is your baby. But I just, if you say, Jessica, I need this, I help you. You know that. You know what I mean? I help make sure the social gets done. I help make sure the blogs get up. I just help you with the back end stuff. You know what I mean? But she does all that by herself. So the fact that she did
Wow.
35 by herself is amazing. So
Incredible.
yeah, the fact that she brought up a couple things like, we don't help with pre-cancer. I would love to see if there's something that we could maybe Moose and Thorn's Promise could maybe work together. You know what I mean? So that would be cool if we could help, maybe work together a little bit,
Yeah.
just as a, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's a one person, we're a two lady shop.
I think that what's important about organizations such as ours, that the more that people get involved, that two are stronger than one, three are stronger than two. We are not exclusive, we're inclusive. And I think within many of larger organizations, they are very exclusive. And I think if you row together, you get so much more accomplished. I
Hey,
really just think you do. You do.
yeah, we just need one more older lady. I mean, we have the Golden Girls, you know what I mean? For the animal world. Seriously. I mean, we could be the new
Can we,
Golden Girls
can you
seriously, we
just
could
put
be
us out
the
of the pasture right now? I don't think I'm that old, Jessica. I do not look that old. You do not look that old. I don't feel that old. But you put us up in the category of we're gonna be put out to pasture, and we're already digging our graves and our I
a
don't.
niche. We got a niche for the Golden Girls of the pet world. Seriously, we got 30 years to run with the Golden Girls of the pet world. 30
You
years.
realize when those women filmed Golden Girls,
They were in the they
whoever
were,
they were,
they
they
were in
were in
their
their 30s
40s
and
and
40s.
50s. They were in
Yeah,
their
what
40s
was
and
it?
50s. They were
Oh, yeah.
our age. That's what I'm trying to say. We got 30 years to run with this. That's what I'm trying to say. We are the Golden Girls of the pet world.
Did you have that weird the gold? Could you create a Golden Girls kind of thing for us, like a crown or something, like a princess? I don't know.
Yeah, we could get Lisa involved. We just gotta find a fourth. We gotta find a fourth there. Golden Girls of the
We
pet
do. We
world.
do. We
See?
do. Oh my gosh, Jessica, I have missed you. We have been away for a little bit, but I cannot wait, to see what's happening on the horizon here.
Yeah, well, next week you're gonna love it. Like I said, I didn't tell you about it, but I told you that. Yeah, that's a good one,
Cannot wait.
wasn't it? So, all right, my
Cannot
dear.
wait.
So, well, we're going to say goodbye and we will see you. You're going to be traveling for a little bit. So you know what I mean? But you're going to be gone for most of this month and then we'll start working on February. But you guys, we're super excited. So, February is going to be a fun month too, but Trisha doesn't know what it's about yet because I haven't told her. So
I have no idea. I'm clueless over here.
I might do something hardish. We'll
Legally
see.
blonde. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, so we want to say, a Leroy story. I just got to tell you this. Leroy Ops called me up the other day and he was like, Jess. And he calls me kid. He doesn't call me by my name, by the way. So he calls me kid. He's like, kid. And I'm like, what's up, Dad? What's wrong? And he goes, I listened to your podcast. And I was like, oh, you did finally? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I have criticisms. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, I found the notes. He goes, I can't criticize. He goes, he listened to the episode of our favorite things. And he goes,
Oh my
I
God.
was going to tell you. He's like, I was going to tell you, you got to tell me where to buy this stuff. He goes, then I saw the notes. He's like,
Oh my
so I
God.
could. He goes, then I couldn't criticize you. And then he goes, the only thing I have to say is you and Trisha got to stop talking over each other.
No way.
I said,
Too bad
there's a
we
lag,
like
Dad. Yeah. I'm like, there's a lag, Dad. There's a lag. I can't help you there. And he goes, other than that, he goes, you two are kind of funny.
We are. We are.
I just said, Dad, did you like it? Did you hit the like button? He goes, oh, did I have to do that? I'm like, go back and hit the like button. So there's my Leroy story for you. I just had to share that with you.
All right, hi, Leroy. Thanks for listening to us. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, so to our sponsors and everybody out there, we love you. Leroy, we love you. But I'll let you tell our sponsors, tell everybody who we love. But we love Leroy and Naps. You know what I mean? I always have to say hi to Kathy Delaney, 24. Kathy, love you. But and we love Fortune Form. Let me go through the list, make sure I got everybody. Fortune Form,
Veterinary, Volition Veterinary. We love. We thank Augie Bones for their incredible support for the VMX show for us. Wow, wow, wow.
Yep.
We've got some great Pet Premium. Thank you to Ed Navarro and the team there. So we've got a lot of great things going on here and adding more.
We are. We're going to be talking to Zachary Tinkle. You know what I mean? We're going to, we may be seeing him quite a bit this year, which I'm super excited about, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So if you're into NASCAR, you know what I mean? Definitely check out Zachary. The next up and coming, Yep. Mm-hmm. So get your cards now, get your t-shirts. Those are going to be worth money big time. So, all right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next week. Happy 24, you know what I mean? And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Yep. Bye. Thanks for listening to Pets Are Family. You can find us on all the channels now. Yes, all of the channels now. So make sure you share us with your friends, your families, and your coworkers, and anybody that has a pet. Make sure you like us, give us your feedback, tell us if anything that you want us to talk about, all that fun stuff. You can reach me at jessica@petsourfamily.net or trisha@petsourfamily.net. Thank you for everything that you guys do, but make sure you like us, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. You can always see what we're up to. And we want to thank all of our sponsors, all of the people that support us. We love every one of you, and we can't thank you enough. And remember, check out Moose's March, moosesmarch.com, moosesmarch.com. Come check us out. Talk to you guys soon. We'll see you next week. Bye.